Hey everyone, this is it. We have reached the end of Booker Prize season for 2022, and I am so excited to find out which of these 6 shortlisted novels is going to win this year's award. We're going to find out in just a few hours' time, but I'm all suited up because I've been lucky enough to have been invited to this year's awards ceremony, and the announcement is going to be taking place at the Roundhouse in London, so I'm heading out for there very soon, and I thought it would be fun to take you along with me and film what I can and do a little vlog. It should be a really glitzy and exciting evening. There will be things like, in case you didn't know, special editions of each of these 6 shortlisted novels are created each year and presented to the authors. Only one copy of these special editions are made, and they'll be on display during the ceremony, but I'm hoping to get some time alone with them to film them because they are really gorgeous and intricate, and nobody ever gets to see them again after this evening. After they've been on display during the party, they're given to the authors and then nobody ever sees them again. So I'm hoping to do that. Maybe I'll get a chance to chat with some of the shortlisted authors. I did get to meet all of them at the readings which took place in London last Friday evening. It was a really wonderful discussion, and there was a great thing after the formal discussion that it was put out to the audience if they had any questions, and of course I asked the first question and Shehan Karunatilaka recognized me and said he's a fan of my channel. I didn't get a video of this, but I have it on audio, so here it is.
Well, firstly, I'm a big fan of your YouTube channel.
Isn't that amazing? That is so cool. And yeah, I was blushing so much, and I chatted with them a bit afterwards. So yeah, I got to meet all the authors except for Garner, who didn't go because he was concerned about, like, for health reasons of being around so many people. So I'm not sure if he's actually going to be there in person this evening. But yeah, there should also, apparently Dua Lipa is going to be there this evening. So if I have a chance, I'm going to meet her and invite her along to my next book club. I mean, can you imagine if Dua Lipa comes to your book club to talk about books? So yeah, it should be really great evening. And who is going to win this year's award? I mean, that's a really tricky question, and I did a whole video like doing my predictions. So I am rooting for the 7 Moons of Maali Almeida to win this evening. So I'm sure Shehan's compliments about my channel have nothing to do with the fact that I've been raving about his novel ever since I read it this summer. But yeah, I think Claire Keegan's novel is a very close second, and she has a very good chance of winning. But also Glory and the Trees are really excellent books, and I think have a really strong chance as well. But I've been looking at everyone's predictions online, and actually all 6 of the novels, each of these novels, like, you know, has its own fans and people rooting for it. So it's really tough to call this year. I have placed an actual bet on the 7 Moons of Maali Almeida winning. So, you know, if it does win this evening, I'll be up a bit in money wise, but that's just like a fun thing to add along to it. But yeah, so I'm going to head out soon and film what I can. It's a really beautiful evening here in London. I was worried I might get caught out in the rain, but it's all okay. There's the Roundhouse behind me, so I'm gonna go in and see what I can film. So here we are on Booker Prize evening, and you told me you had a bit of a nap this afternoon, so you're rested and well prepared for the evening.
2 good days of no signings, no interviews, just got to sleep and walk around, have a walk in the park and eat some sushi. It was a good day.
Very good. And you told me you used to come when you lived in London about 20 years ago. You would come for concerts here in this like very hall, so how does it feel now coming as like a major award, a nominee?
I saw Kasabian live here before they were big, and that's my memory of them, and countless other bands. So yeah, I guess we're performing tonight, among others.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah.
You seem quite relaxed and chilled. Are you excited or nervous or a bit of both, or just?
I'm terrified. I'm
Okay.
terrified. I'm going to be violently
You're hiding it well.
Yeah, I'll be violently sick, in a few hours. But yeah, I'm okay now. I'm holding it together. Yeah, it's good.
Well, best of luck for you. I'm really,
Thank you very
really
much.
excited.
Lovely.
Thank you.
is a location of the lynching.
Wow.
This is amazing.
Beautiful.
Would you like
And the barbed wire.
the barbed wire on the? He's filming this for me.
Oh, is he?
And it's lovely.
Great.
And I have to say, my favorite feature of this in the back. There is a handwritten list
The names.
of the victims of lynching
And police killings
and police killings.
up to the present day.
Wow. My
Not
gosh,
all
that
of
must have
them,
taken so much work.
There
Yeah.
were more.
And I didn't use all of it. It was crazy. It's amazing.
That's really moving.
I would write to Everett.
What is the story behind it?
Do you know the children's book writer, Jan, I'm going to correctly pronounce his name, Piakaska?
So I've just been to have a good look at all of these special editions of the books. They are really gorgeous. I couldn't pick them up or move them because they're now all displayed on the plinth, but I also got to see the Booker Prize statue, which is also really beautiful, but apparently very delicate, so wasn't allowed to touch that either. And now I went and got myself a drink, and apparently Damon Galgot's bag has gone missing, so everyone's going on the search for it. But yeah, I'm gonna have a drink and chat with a few people. So I've been told that Elizabeth Strout isn't very well, unfortunately, so she won't be here this evening. Neither will Alan Garner, but the other 4 authors are here.
We have guests here tonight from the length and breadth of the British Isles, the Americas, Asia, Africa, and a few of you even made the trek from South London. The Booker Prize is the biggest volume of books and is awarded annually to the author of the best work of long-form fiction published in English that year. Unfortunately, party manifestos do not qualify.
About celebrating each of the 6 amazing novels that have made it to this year's shortlist. To that end, each author will receive a special one-off hand-bound edition of their book, which you can see here on stage. It's a lovely gesture, though quite odd to give them the one book we know they've definitely already read. Featuring special guest, Dua Lipa, and of course, the announcement of this year's Booker Prize winner. But before all that, there's the very urgent matter of dinner to attend to. I'm popping off to get fed. If you haven't yet read all 6 of the shortlisted titles, you've got about 60 minutes to speed read them under the table.
It was written by a woman called Treacle. Okay.
We are live at the Roundhouse in London at the ceremony to announce the winner of the 2022 Booker Prize for Fiction in the presence of Her Majesty the Queen Consort, who will be awarding the trophy. The winner will also receive £50,000, and we have some wonderful guests and surprises tonight. 4 of the shortlisted authors are here in person. Elizabeth Strout sadly is unwell, and Alan Garner joins us by webcam from his home in Cheshire. And by coincidence, it's his 88th birthday today, so we might have to do something with that. And here with me are some of the judges. Fine, was it a unanimous decision? Are you all still speaking to each other?
Oh yes, we made sure that it's going to be unanimous, and it is.
Helen, you're a historian of the medieval and Tudor period, and of course we're still thinking about the sad death of Hilary Mantel, who won the prize twice for Wolf Ordering Up the Bodies, was herself a judge. What did she bring to fiction, and historical fiction in particular, do you think?
She brought a ferocious intelligence and an acute sensitivity to what lies beyond the rational. She brought those abilities, those qualities, to an astonishing range of subjects, bookended by what I think are 4 of the greatest historical novels ever written. A Place of Greater Safety, an astonishing first novel, and you read it and you think it doesn't get better than this, and then you read the Wolf Hall trilogy and then you've got an argument.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we miss her so much.
The attack against Salman Rushdie was a horrific, despicable act of violence, and it was not an isolated incident. I think all around the world, many writers, poets, journalists, editors, they know what I'm talking about. Words have become heavy. Anything and everything you write, from politics to sexuality to history, questioning official history, can offend the authorities, especially in countries where democracy is shattered to pieces. And if I may very quickly add this, I think it's also worth mentioning that this attack took place at a peaceful, inclusive literary festival. And I believe the perpetrator of this violence not only wanted to silence a prominent novelist, but also wanted to bring fear into our literary festivals. And therefore I think it's very important that we put even more effort to expand our cultural spaces, to invest in libraries, to put pressure on politicians to invest in libraries and to celebrate diversity, democracy, multiplicity, both within and without, and celebrate the ancient art of storytelling.
Shehan, thank you so much. World-renowned singer-songwriter Dua Lipa, no stranger to awards herself, they tend to be Grammys and Brits. She's an avid reader who recommends the books that she loves on social media, and joins us here tonight to say a few words about the power of reading. Welcome, Dua, over to you.
Thank you so much. Your Majesty, ladies and gentlemen, firstly, a heartfelt thank you to the Booker Prize Foundation for inviting me here tonight. It's such an honour to be amongst some of the world's greatest literary minds to talk about one of the most profound joys in the world, the simple pleasure of reading a book. Reading is a passion that has taken many forms for me. Like countless other London school children, my early obsessions included Roald Dahl and Mallory Blackman, both of whom gave me little pearls of wisdom that still guide me today. When I was 11, my family decided to return to Kosovo, reading books such as Ismail Kadare's Kishtiela or The Castle, tested my language skills while also helping me connect with my family's heritage and identity as Kosovan Albanians. Through Kadare, I learned about the Albanian spirit of resistance, that same stubborn determination that keeps Kosovans fighting for international recognition for our independence today. I often wonder if authors realize just how many gifts they give us. Today, touring commitments take me all over the globe and life is often hectic. Sometimes, just to survive, I need to adopt a tough exterior. And at these times, it is books that soften me. Earlier this year, I launched a podcast, which I love because it gives me the opportunity to speak one-to-one with some of my favourite authors. They make incredible guests because they are so in tune with human emotion, and it's honestly better than any therapy session I've ever been to. Talking to Hanya Yanagihara about A Little Life was a privilege that still blows my mind. I was so immersed in that story, I honestly felt like I lived on Lisbonard Street. She told me that she still thinks about Jude every single day of her life, and I do too. Good writing has the power to make people feel seen and heard, to tell stories that the world has ignored. We all just want to love and to be loved and to find our place in the world, and authors really help us do that. So to each of tonight's shortlisted authors, whether your book was something you wrote solely for yourself, to change the world, or simply because you felt like you had to, thank you for allowing us into the worlds that you create. It really does mean a lot to us readers.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Alan. Happy birthday to you.
The Booker Trophy has been reinstated this year. You can see it on the stage up in the room as a tribute to its creator, the beloved children's illustrator and writer Jan Pionkowski of Megalog, who died in February, and it's based on his original design. And for our radio listeners, it's an elegant figure of a woman with extended arms holding a large bowl above her head. Not a very exciting description, it's a beautiful trophy. I'm also delighted to say that the equally beautiful winner of last year's Booker Prize, Damon Garner, is also here to pass on the baton. Welcome, Damon. And Damon, I remember last year we had to have a pretty much empty radio theatre. It was just the nominees, pretty much. And what a night for you. Can I ask what the impact has been of winning the prize?
Well, I think it's safe to say I've had the most intense year of my life, certainly the busiest. It's been like a literary festival that never quite comes to an end, although it might come to an end tonight.
I think it might. Do stay with us. I would like to welcome Her Majesty the Queen Consort to the stage, along with Neil McGregor, the Chair of Judges. Neil, can I ask you to take your place to announce the winner of the 2022 Booker Prize for Fiction?
Your Majesty, Your Majesty, ladies and gentlemen, the Booker Prize exists to proclaim the power of the book to change lives and possibly even to change the world. That's why fiction matters, and why, as we've heard earlier this evening from Edith, those in power are sometimes so nervous of it and of the alternative worlds that fiction proposes. But the Booker Prize is also about the quiet pleasure of reading alone and the delight of then discussing what you've read with a group of friends. And as judges of this year's Booker Prize, we've enjoyed both, and in unprecedented measure. It might well be asked today, who needs the excitements and fantasies of fiction when every day we have the incomparable excitements and fantasies of British politics? But the global disruptions of the last few years, the reality of pandemic, war, and social conflict have paradoxically given new edge to the imagined world in which writers explore what it means to be alive today. We believe, and you've all now had a chance to see, that every one of our shortlisted books would be a worthy winner. In different ways, each of them is asking the same question. What is the ultimate value of one individual life? The book that we've chosen takes readers on a journey at once horrific and humorous, beyond life and beyond death, to the world's dark heart. And there, astonishingly and encouragingly, we find tenderness, laughter, loyalty, and love. The winner of the 2022 Booker Prize is The 7 Moons of Maali.
And now the trophy from the Queen Consort. and a hug from last year's winner to this year's. Please do join me at the podium. I know you've just won and you're taking it in, but congratulations.
1 minute, right?
I'll try.
I'll try my best. Firstly, thank you to the Booker Foundation, the Booker Prize, to the judges for this inspiring, rich and brilliant long list, and for the spectacular short list. It's been a hell of a ride, and I've been expecting to get off at each stop. No such luck, I'm here at the final stop. To Percival, Elizabeth, NoViolet, Claire and Alan, happy birthday Alan. It's been an honor and a privilege to be on this magnificent list with you. I'm fans of all your books and fans of you. And without meaning to sound trite, we are all winners for being part of this magnificent short list. Though perhaps I might pocket the extra cash if that's okay. I was wondering, can I get that in crypto? Just because the British pound is doing marginally better than the Sri Lankan rupee at the moment, but let's talk later, that's fine. I have many people to thank for this, but none more so than Natanya Jans and Mark Ellingham from Silver Books. You guys took this on when other publishers found this book weird and difficult and strange, which of course it is. But we took it on and we battled with it over the pandemic, and this is our win. This is our win. I have to thank David Godwin, Kanishka Gupta, Rebecca Weirmouth, Ruth Killick, Philippa and her team, and of course Manasi Subramaniam, Chiki Sarka, Faiza Khan and Mohammed Hanif, who have advised me and guided me over the years. And mostly I have to thank my first-time readers who put up with so many messy, horrible drafts from me. Deshan Tennakon, Tracy Holsinger, Ravin Fernando, Shana Kamrasinghe, Michael Myler, Sean Amrasekara, Govinda, Jan Ramesh, Diseram and Andrew Fidel Fernando. Yes, they all had to do it in shifts because it was horrible work, but thank you for your encouragement and for your brutal notes. The book, 7 Moons, is dedicated to 3 ladies. I live with 3 ladies. That's the kind of rock and roll lifestyle we writers early. The 3 ladies are Chula, who used to read to me when I was too young to read for myself. Luca, who lets me read to her at bedtime. And of course Eranga, who's here tonight, who reads my stuff before anyone else does. And my wish for the writers in the room and the writers everywhere is that we know how dispiriting and demoralizing a writing life can be. So my wish for you is that you all have 3 ladies, or 3 gentlemen, or 3 non-binaries, or whatever combination you prefer, to look after you when the days aren't so good. Thanks to my brother Ladin, who does all my illustrations, my son Theo, who's probably doing the haka in his pajamas at the moment, and my father, who's lost the ghostly realms of dementia, but I know he would appreciate this. To Russell and Sumita Tenlakon for their generosity and love, and of course my lawyers, who are almost as important as the 3 ladies. Aftab Aziz, Datika Vikramanayaka, maybe you should start charging me now. So 7 Moons of Maali Almeida, it's about a murdered journalist. And I was going to do it Percival Everett style. I was going to read the names of all the journalists, the activists, the politicians, the civilians, the innocents who have been murdered by the state or by those opposing it in my lifetime in Sri Lanka. But if I had done that, we'd be here all night. So I was going to read the names of the obituaries from 1989 when the book was set. Activists like Richard D'Soisa, Dr. Rajni Thiranagama and Daya Bhatirana, who featured in this book. But if I'd done that, we would have all missed our trains. And I suspect I'm not travelling by train tonight.
I don't think you are, Shehan, because we've got about a couple of minutes before we finish. Shall I
wrap up very quickly? Sorry.
No, go on.
Okay, sorry. How many minutes have we got? 7 minutes?
Well, it's less than 2 minutes. I was going to ask you one question. But please finish.
You want to ask me the question? Okay, let me just say this. My hope for 7 Moons is this, that in the not too distant future, 10 years or as long as it takes, that it is read in a Sri Lanka that has understood that these ideas of corruption and race baiting and cronyism have not worked and will never work, and that it is read in Sri Lanka. Well, I hope it's in print in 10 years, but if it is, I hope it's read in Sri Lanka that learns from its stories, and that 7 Moons will be in the fantasy section of the bookshop, and will not be mistaken, next to the Dragons and Unicorns, will not be mistaken for realism or political satire. But let me just finally just say to the people of Sri Lanka, this is all I want to say. Me pota man ogalanta kiwwe මේක දිනුමක් රට පරාජය වෙලා ඉන්න කාලෙක මේක දිනුමක් ළඟදී අපි නැමි විතර පැරදුනා කමක් නැහැ. අද ලංකාවේ මිනිස්සුන්වත් දුක් විඳිනවා. ඒ දුක් මිදින්න මට ආයුධ නැහැ. ඒත් මේ ජයග්‍රහණය අපි පිළිගමු. දැන් අපි කොහොම හරි ලෝක T20 කුසලානය දිනාගමු. ඇයි බැරි?
We got cricket reference in there, I'm afraid.
Yes. ඉලංගේ සොන්නංගලේ එවදෙස් අලේ අලේ කුරුකෝ කුරේ කොණ්ඩේ ඉරුප්පෝ. Thank you ස්තුති ජය වේවා.
I think it just needs a reading lamp.
Yeah.
Nice and close together.
And then don't hide behind though. Don't hide behind, you're hiding behind too much of the back. Okay, yeah. Just hide again. Yeah, choose for your bit. Works. Yeah, that'll do.
Winner of the 2022 Booker Prize, Shehan Karunatilaka. Well done, Shehan. So we are just, as you know, open for your questions.
Hello, Anita Singh from The Telegraph. Congratulations on your win. Are you able to summarise for us what you said at the end to the people in Sri Lanka?
I just said that I write these books for you, and that it's a win. When at the time when the country's been defeated, we lost the cricket to Namibia last night, and so that's still hurting. But I said, this is a win, and let's accept this great victory and try and win the T20 World Cup. But I also spoke in Tamil, which is not a natural. I'm taking Tamil lessons, but it was important to me to speak in those two languages. But I just said let's keep telling our stories, let's keep listening to everyone's stories and sharing our stories, because we tend to in Sri Lanka forget the past and not talk about it. And I thought, that was the purpose of this, to kind of dig up harsh periods in our history. So that was it. But I managed to say it all before we were shut down, so that was a great win as well.
Two languages, Tamil and
Sinhalese.
Okay, just a
Hello, Shambeli from the Bookseller. I just wanted to know if you've got any idea of what you might spend your winnings on, or what your sort of future plans are, if any more books are in the pipeline, for instance.
What I might spend my winnings on? We don't think that far ahead as freelance writers. We live from month to month, and I was look. I've got 5 guitars, and I just bought a drum kit, and so I guess I spend my money on instruments and books, and the rest I squander. But honestly, I don't know. I would like to invest it in the future, the future of me, the future of my kids, hopefully the future of other people's kids. But no, I didn't think that far ahead.
David Sanderson from The Times. And will this victory give you a chance to pursue a grunge musical career?
A grunge music? Does anyone have a grunge musical career these days? Does anyone know? Yeah, guitar music, I think, I'm waiting for the next, rock revolution. No, I might start a middle-aged band. That's been on the cards for a while. I might buy another bass. I saw one recently, but No, there's no musical revolutions coming out of Sri Lanka from me, anyway. Maybe I think the revolution now with Sinhalese and Tamil, the languages I spoke in, is in hip hop. And for some reason, rock music just sounds like bad Led Zeppelin covers. But hip hop seems to have found a voice of its own. So I think I would urge you to check out Tamil hip hop and Sinhalese hip hop. But I think I'm a generation too late for that. But yeah, I'll be playing in a garage somewhere with some middle-aged men. But I don't know if any of you will be lucky enough to hear it. So, yeah.
Congratulations, Rebecca Jones from the BBC. Did you ever feel this book would not be published? I wondered how many mainstream publishers have turned it down, and I know how much you struggled to get your first novel published. Can you just tell us a little bit about the journey of how this novel came into print?
Yeah, so it was. See, now when you write in English in Sri Lanka, you don't harbor these big ambitions. You think maybe it might get published in India and the subcontinent, and that's the ambition I had for the first book, and the first book traveled further than that. But it took me a while to write the second book, and yeah, it did struggle. So we had a draft, and Indian publishers were kind of enthusiastic about it, but outside of India, a lot of publishers found it difficult and it is a complex situation of the political situation in 1989 and the mythology. So there was a lot of publishers who found that difficult, and yeah, there was a time where I felt that you spent 7 years on this book and it's probably not going to be read outside of India, and yeah, you have those dark moments. But I mean, who I thanked in the speech, sort of books, they took it on, and they were very kind. I mean, people in publishing are very polite and kind usually, and they said, we think it's a terrific book, but I'm afraid there's a significant amount of work. And luckily for us, we had a pandemic, so we had like 2 years of no publishing, and yeah, we just sat there. Initially, it was just to make it accessible to a Western audience, but I think we ended up doing a lot of rewriting and looking at subplots and making things basier. Because there are a lot of moving parts to the novel, and I think there was a danger of too many digressions. So yeah, I think it was a difficult book to get out there, and so that's why I was grateful to get a Booker long list when the book was coming out, and obviously this has exceeded all expectations. But yeah, there was a time when I thought it may not see the light of day outside India.
Thank you. Yes, Eric, do you want to go?
Hello, Eric Anderson from Munson Reader. Massive congratulations. And slightly following on from that, since the novel was first published in India with the title Chats with the Dead. So I was wondering, what was the original title, and do you have a preferred title for the novel?
The original title was a book called Devil Dance, which was it was a slasher horror set on a bus of aid workers during the tsunami. And so that was the original, and I spent 3 years on that book, and in the end nothing survived apart from the ghost on the bus, who was a dead journalist called Maali Almeida. And when I came back to it, I realized Maali Almeida was the center of the book. But yeah, Chats with the Dead, because I thought I'm going to interview all the silenced voices of Sri Lanka's wars, and that was really the conceit for it. But I think when we revised it, we saw that it was more of a murder mystery, and that's why this idea of the 7 moons, which is really the ticking clock for a murder mystery. And I'll be honest, I was reluctant with the title because I've already had a book, The Legend of Pradeep Matthew, with the name of a character in it. So I thought Chats with the Dead was quite neat, but what do I know? I deferred to many of their suggestions, and I think the book turned out better.
What impact did the news of the attack on Sir Salman Rushdie have on you as a writer and in general?
Yeah, so I was in the process of publishing a collection of short stories when this incident happened, and I discarded a couple of short stories which I don't think was offensive to any religion, but my wife said, can you not do that? You've got 2 young kids. This story's not that good. Just leave it out. And I did find myself, and in the balance of it, I thought, a short story I can easily take it out. So I have self-censored and done things like that. And it is a concern when you're writing semi-political stuff in a place like Sri Lanka. Who are you going to offend, and is it really going to cost you more than you anticipated? So I think that this is something that hangs over all of us if we're writing in South Asia, especially writing about politics or religion and things like that. So yeah, I think it's something that I do think about, and it does affect what I write.
I don't want to make assumptions, but you're married, you're writing you're inhabiting a gay character. I mean, how easy did you find that to do?
So when I started this in 2014, I didn't really give it much thought. It was just interest, and also I like my first book was written from the point of view of an elderly drunk man who was twice my age, and I found that quite, because when you write it the first person, there's the danger of you kind of implanting your own beliefs on it. So to write characters different from yourself, I think that's what novelists do, and so that was the first thing. So when I wrote from this point of view of a gay character, I pursued it through many drafts, but yeah, I was aware of this problem when it came close to publishing. Perhaps if I started the book now, I might pause to think, do I have the right to talk from the point of view? But I would say though that I did my research well. I talked to many gay men from that period, and I let them read drafts to make sure I wasn't being patronizing and so on. Look, I think novelists should be able to inhabit other minds. That's what we do. As long as we do it well and we do it with respect, I think we should be allowed to. You shouldn't have to just stick within your lane. But yeah, perhaps I would have thought about it more if I was starting the book today. But hopefully it worked out well. I mean, my readers offered me pointers, but none of them seem offended so far.
So Philip from the Bookseller, you've now got a huge platform. I felt you had more to say tonight than the Radio 4 would allow. So how are you going to use this new platform that you've got?
Well, one of the points I made was that I said in Sinhalese that people in Sri Lanka are suffering, and that I don't have the tools to ease your suffering. All I can do is sit in the dark in the power cuts and write books. And I still feel that that's my role. I don't want to really get on a soapbox now with this platform. Yeah, I really didn't think about it, but I'm writing about 1989. It'll take me another 20 years to get to 2022. I'm a very slow writer. Yeah, so I'm just going to sit in the darkness and write books, and but hopefully someone can take these ideas and take them forward, but I don't think it'll be me.
Can you describe your personal experience of living through this year's events in Sri Lanka?
So yeah, what a year it's been. I was in Iowa on a writer's program while the country imploded. So I was, from March to June, I was biking around the Iowa River working on a third novel. And then I turn on Twitter and I find out things are burning, and yeah, it was quite anxiety inducing. And then finally when I went back, I was part of the July 9th struggle, the Aragalaya. And of course, look, I'm not an activist type. I'm a different generation where Generation X, we're apathetic. We just sit there and write cynical books. And I kind of sat there watching the revolution on television. It was televised, and you're seeing these kids take on the might of the state, and they breached the presidential palace, and that was a phenomenal moment. So then, from a safe distance, I joined it, and it was something spectacular. To be on those streets where it wasn't just the radical fringe, it was everybody. It was grandmas and kids, working class people who traveled great distances because they were fed up with the situation. And so that was a beautiful moment, and I was part of it. And yeah, we saw the absurdity of it, people jumping in the president's pool and sitting on his bed watching the cricket on his TV and all that. And I was part of it, and I had to report about that. I'm not a reporter, but yes, I was part of that. But look, it couldn't continue, and now we have a semblance of stability. We've had 3 prime ministers in 3 months, which I don't know if the UK can relate to that, but we've got a plummeting currency at 3 prime ministers. So now we have a semblance of normalcy. The So when I got the news of the book, my wife was in a 4-day petrol queue, and I was walking the kids to school, and that was the reality right after the struggle. So now there's a semblance of normalcy, but the struggle is not over, and we still see voices being silenced, so the struggle has been discredited and people being taken in for the flimsiest of charges. It's glib to compare 2022 to the horrors of 1989 or the horrors of 1983. I don't think we're quite there yet. But I do see the signs, and so it's hard. Like, now it's normal, but in Sri Lanka you never know where it's going to turn and what's going to happen. So it makes interesting times for if you're writing novels. But yeah, I'd rather have a peaceful country and boring novels, really. Yeah, I would. So my experience was from a distance, and I think 2022 has been a phenomenal year. Let's hope it has a happy ending.
Go for it, Rebecca.
Actually, Gabby, it's for you, and it's a bit of a cheeky question. I don't know, Gabby revealed to us earlier that because you're published by a small independent press, that the Booker Prize Foundation had provided some financial assistance to help get you over here for the ceremony. So you may not have known this, but now he's won a cheque for 50,000. Are you paying for his fare home, or is it going to pay for
Did you get it back? I believe it was a return ticket, and Shehan is entitled to keep it. Thank you for the question, though.
I want to ask a question of the chair of judges. Was there a moment or a scene or a line from the novel and which you read and you just thought, yes, this is a Booker Prize winner? Or if that's putting you too much on the spot, is there a favorite aspect of the novel that you just think is so
that's exactly the point, isn't it? I mean, you're always looking for the words, the way words are used. And I think the phrase that really, for me, I think not only me, really focused on what this novel's about is, at a certain point, I can never remember this novel because who is speaking to whom about what. But somebody says that, talking about the fact that you need to pursue an idea, even if it's a futile idea, even if it doesn't work, and then say, or else, why bother with breath? And that struck us as a terrific phrase. Why bother with breath? It was the only question that matters. And it's, of course, what the whole book's about. What is a life? What can you do? Does it matter if what you hope to do doesn't work? Or are there other things that will redeem, justify a life? So that phrase was the one that, for me, and I think for the others, really reminded us that this was a great book and about a really big subject. Why bother with breath? If we answer that question, we can all go home very happy. And thank you for asking it.
Okay, good. I think we're all up. And you were allowed to get on with the rest of your life.
Oh, wow. That's my life. I should. Okay, fine. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So that is the end of another Booker Prize year. What a fantastic evening. This was so wonderful, such an amazing result. I'm so happy that it won. Yay! The book I was backing won, and yay, I'm 100 pounds up, so that's fantastic. But mostly, I'm so happy that more people are going to be reading and sharing and discussing this book. It is such an amazing novel, such a wondrous, joyous experience, such a thoughtful, thought-provoking novel. It's so incredible. Honestly, just read it if you haven't read it yet. I know it's difficult to get hold of copies, but hopefully it will be published more widely now. I would love to know what you think of the results. Honestly, I thought it could have been a few of the other novels quite easily. It was a really tight competition this year, but really amazing results. I'm so happy for it. So, but honestly, it's just been so wonderful reading and discussing all the books with you, hearing everyone's comments, and everyone picking their favorites. It's really made it a much more enriching and rewarding reading experience. And I think that's the whole point of following book prizes, not like winners or losers, but yeah, it's about the reading experience and sharing in great discussions about wonderful literature. So this has been wonderful. Thank you for following along with me this year. It's been such a great ride through this whole thing. And yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will speak to you again soon. Bye-bye.